Welcome to Love Them Knives channel. We're on the road. On the road, at the Hampton Inn, because we go big or go home. And I'm ready to go home. But I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I'm doing this Pelican on the desk in the hotel room. Oh, Lord. And the Pelican from Real Steel. And this is just a newbie out on the market. Just a regular EDC size knife. I believe 3.5 inch blade, 8 inches overall. And let's take a look with the tape measure, which I brought with me, thank God for small favors. So 90 millimeters, 3.5 inches overall, just a tad over 8 inches at 21 or 20.5 centimeters, okay? So what do we got here? Well, how fat is it? Well, let's find out. Are we at 0? We're at a -0. Okay, now 12.2 millimeters, 0.48 inches, so fairly slender there. And 0.12 of an inch blade stock, 3 millimeter blade stock. Yeah, this is their first collaboration with Aslan Zhanabay, and I don't know if can that pronunciation get to you, but I've seen his Instagram site, so I'll give you a link to his Instagram site. Real Steel. It's in D2. There's Aslan's mark. Pocket clips. Got a little bit of juice going on there. Just get you some style points in there. Seems to go in my pocket fine. So that's all right. And obviously it doesn't dominate the design. There's your lanyard hole. And obviously this is G10 on the front. It's a steel frame lock flipper. And there's your lockup. Pretty heavy lockup there. Well over 50%. And I have taken this apart. Not anything mysterious here. Bearings, of course. Steel washer, which it would be required here in the G10 area, but not here in the steel frame area. And here's your pivot, which is squared. Okay, and there's your pivot screw, body screws, etc., back spacer, and pocket clip right there with 2 screws holding that in place. You can see that it's heavily weight relieved on the frame side, and of course that's G10 there. So nothing outlandish. Supposed to be the Pelican. This is the beak. I guess this is stylistically feathers, wings, that kind of thing. And you can take your finger, flick it open that way so it's finger flick. You can open it with your thumb as well. But it's not so easy to flick open with my thumb because I'm putting pressure on this lock bar doing that, so I've got to kind of back off. Okay, so yes, much easier like that. Or just use the flipper tab. And it's fairly slender, kind of tall, but yeah, it's all right. Interesting, of course, that you can see this cutaway here, so it's not like the blade disappears into the bolster, so it's not quite as seamless in that respect. Take a look, see what we got. We've got this backspace that wraps around to here, but there we go. To me, that's not the best use of the length of the handle. I mean, that to me seems like that could have been a little bit longer. I mean, I get a lot of blades that almost touch my finger when I put them down, and this one, not quite so much. So, but, you know, 3.5-inch blade, 8 inches overall, that's pretty standard fare. I mean, the Paramilitary 2 is 3.45 or something, around a 3.5-inch blade, and it's 8.25 overall. So really the proportions on this are fine. It just seems like they could have probably put a little bit more blade or maybe a little shorter handle in there. Speaking of handle, the ergos are pretty good though. You know, fits my hand fine. Got this little front choil area, and then kind of just a regular area along here behind that choil for the rest of your fingers. This is plentiful in here, although this slope kind of pushes my finger away from that guard unless you're going to choke up. And depending on the size of your fingers, you may have a finger straddling that area. I'm okay, but different size hands going to do different things there. Got a kind of a harpoon looking blade, and so I like it. Piercing, slicing, should be pretty good in that regard. And like I said, D2, probably send it in and get it tested, although I've had other, like the 3605F Control in D2 tested, and it was like a 60 HRC that D2 was. So, so far, looks like their D2's pretty well done. And it's not terribly heavy, which, you know, seeing all the weight relieving on inside the steel frame, you know, that kind of tells you something. 4.4 ounces, and for a steel frame knife like that, that's not bad. 125 grams. And let's see, let's compare it to something. Well, I got my 614 with me. Have 614 will travel. And of course, the 614's over 9 inches, so much bigger knife. What's our Centros? Where's our CJRB knife? And this should be closer, although, no. It's a bigger knife. This is the 1905 Centros, Mallory design here. So that'll give you kind of an idea of the size. This is not a terribly large knife, but it's pretty much the mid-range EDC size for me. And the lockup is solid. No blade play, no lock rock. It's centered up. And like I said, I took it apart. When I put it back together, I, you know, cleaned it, put in a little bit of KPL. So there you go. Reasonably good action on this knife. I might have it set a little stiff, but that's kind of how I like it. I don't like it too guillotine. So interesting. This is just another nice collaborative from Real Steel out there. I think it's a good looking knife. It's comfortable in the hand. It's got a nice choil up here for sharpening. And of course, G10 backspacer. If I hadn't mentioned that before, of course I did when I showed you the disassembled picture. These are number 6s. This is a number 8. No access this way. But you saw that it was a flattened pivot tube, so that keeps it from turning. It was pretty simple to take apart, put back together, so that's not an issue. Pocket clip's not deep carry, and there's no left-hand option with this thing. Detent. I can fail it. Let me try to do that again. Okay, I can fail it. You know, it's about par for the course with a lot of these flippers. This thing's somewhere between a 4.5 and a 5. I'm not sure I can throw this out. Yeah, I can throw it out, but it's not easy. I really have to snap it pretty good, and it's like that, real hard. So I'd say a 4.7, somewhere like that. I know it's kind of funny. Like, it's either a 4 or a 5 or a 6. How do you move 4.5, 4.7? I don't know. It's, it gets right into where most of the flippers, most of the knives with D10 on them that I review roll anywhere between a 3.8 and a 6. So, yes, there's a lot of gradients in there. And after handling a billion different knives, I start splitting hairs. Just my own personal feel. But I'd say, yeah, 4.7, somewhere around there on this one. But, it feels pretty stiff. There's no play in the detent or anything. And it doesn't take much to pop it right out. But, yeah, you can fail it, okay? So it's not like it's that intense as far as the detent's concerned. But, easy to flip out. Just like that. Snaps right open. This will be interesting to see how this does in the market. I think it's an attractive design. It's not that heavy, 4.5 ounces. It's a good size. It's fairly slender that way. The harpoonish type style blade is attractive, and you can finger flick it. So it should be a real good user. I don't have the pricing on it, but these are not going to be very expensive knives. Although, it's not a washer. It does have bearings, so that gives it that fidget factor as well. So there you go. The Pelican from Real Steel. Interesting. Thanks for joining me. Take care. You know what we do. We love them knives, and you guys stay sharp.